Hey there, welcome back to another review. This time it's more of a rant, but this is going to be a very short, this is probably going to be one of the shortest videos I think I've ever done for a movie. I just wanted to talk about this real quick before I forgot about it. And also, I haven't actually gotten around to watching the Ewoks movies yet, but I definitely will, and you will see reviews of those coming up pretty soon. But this movie, I was actually really excited to see this. I really wanted to see it, so I saw it recently, and it just wasn't that good. Um, I should have known better. I really should have known better. Considering that it's from the director of Room 237, which was, in my opinion, nothing but bullshit. You could have just called the movie Bullshit the movie. Bullshitters bullshit about bullshit theories about The Shining, the motion picture. Because that's really what Room 237 was for me personally. So I should have known better knowing that this film, The Nightmare, is from the same director, Rodney Asher. But I liked the trailer. I liked the concept. I thought it was interesting, the whole idea of sleep paralysis and, showing some recreations and stuff like that and interviewing real people who have actually experienced these episodes. But much like Room 237, which had way too much bullshit, this film has bullshit too. It's not even really an actual documentary. It's so one-sided, it's unbelievable. There isn't any other side. There's only one opposing. There's no opposing viewpoint. There's only one viewpoint. It's from the people who've experienced these sleep paralysis episodes, and because the director himself experienced something like it, and so he decided he wanted to make a documentary about it, which is a great idea. This is a really cool concept. This is a really good idea for a documentary, but only if it's actually evenly set up, if it's actually even and not uneven. And that's one of my biggest problems with this film, other than other issues like it gets really boring after a while. It tries too hard to scare you to the point it just becomes laughable, especially if you've seen any horror film. Really, if you're a horror fan, you watch this, some of the scares it tries to do are just downright laughable. They're trying so hard to scare you with these images that they just don't let them speak for themselves. They have to have the typical music stings and over the top visuals that are just trying to just be scared, be scared of this cat with its red eyes and just going and I'm just laughing my ass off at it. I'm not scared. I was just like, I was shocked, but I was just shocked about how bad that scene was. I'm like, I was like, come on, give me a break. It's about as scary as that shit in that movie, The Uninvited, where that had that cat that was like a Muppet that had like another cat that poked out of its mouth. Anyway, so going back to my original point, getting back on track here, it's uneven because of the fact that, like I said, it's only one side. So only side you hear from, except for there's this one girl, this one lady, this one woman. She seems to have she's like the voice of reason, but she barely has that much screen time in this movie. Majority of the screen time is devoted to two guys who I swear to God have serious psychological issues. One guy who had this thick beard. He saw these static aliens with, well, they look like aliens, static creatures with, you know, wobbly, long fingers and smiley faces. And he's had experienced seeing them when he was a kid in the crib, and they like tickled him and shit. And then he was like traumatized, and he had sleep paralysis episodes for his entire life, for the rest of his life. And anywhere he went, he experienced the things. And I'm like, this guy seems like he's got some issues. Like you just listen to this guy, you see this guy, you're like, this guy has some issues. That maybe these sleep paralysis or maybe these events are happening because he has these psychological issues that he's doing nothing about, because he's thinking that it's just some supernatural thing and it's nothing else. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, A lot of these people, except for that one lady I was talking about, and she said doctors can't really explain why it's happening and so forth and so on. But I don't think it's something supernatural. Maybe it's something I can't really, my brain doesn't understand. But I don't buy that it's like demons or anything like that. And it was nice to see that point of view. But that was like she was in the film for what, maybe 10 minutes? Not even that, like 5 minutes. Like I said, the majority of this film's hour and 40-something minute runtime, which is way too long for, in my opinion, is devoted to these two crackpots. Once again, we got crackpots given the floor to talk. And you see recreations of their experiences, their sleep paralysis episodes. Sleep paralysis itself sounds terrifying. The idea of your conscious mind being awake while you're dreaming and you can't move. But then if you think about it, that's why you're seeing these things, because you're dreaming. You're dreaming, but your conscious mind is awake. So you're experiencing these things. Excuse me, fucking spit on myself because I can't believe this shit. It's just like you're experiencing these things because your conscious mind is awake while you're dreaming, and you're seeing your dreams as if you were awake, but you can't move. It's lucid dreaming, but extremely lucid dreaming because your subconscious mind is alert while you're experiencing and having these episodes of sleep paralysis. I don't really buy that it's a window into another world. I don't buy that it's, oh, there's anyone who has alien abduction stories had sleep paralysis. There's just really big stretches that are just thrown out on the film, and everything is pretty much deemed as like fact by the director. Like there's no one there, no scientists, there's no doctors. Anytime you hear any of these people talk about psychiatrists or doctors or scientists, they all just scoff at them like they don't know what they're talking about because it's demons. I see these demons, and they say it's stress, and I don't have a stressful job. This one British guy, and I'm like, he's like, I don't have a stressful job. I dive for a living. I'm like, you dive for a living. How the hell is that not a stressful job? You go underwater, you dive. You could die any day, any time when you go underwater and dive. I mean, how is that not a stressful job? Give me a break. What? It makes sense if you, I don't know, like you just make YouTube videos for a living, and that's not too stressful. It can be sometimes, but I mean, but you dive? Come on, that's probably one of the most stressful jobs possible. Like how many hours, how long are you underwater? Maybe you're having these problems sleeping because these are effects of being underwater for too long. You don't know, and that's the thing. These people just are like, no, I don't buy that I'm crazy, or don't buy that I have a psychological problem. So they don't even bother to go to a psychiatrist. And if they do, they don't decide to go through because they don't even, because in order to get help for a psychological issue, you have to actually want it. And it seems like these people don't want it. They think it's just this sleep paralysis thing and these things that they are seeing and these crazy events and these crazy things, they're normal, or they're abnormal and they like it or something. I have no idea. I mean, there's not much explanation here. It's not even documentary. You don't learn anything. You do not learn much. You learn like maybe a little bit that from the interviewers, from the people who are interviewed, the interviewees who like say some things about sleep paralysis. They talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street and how the film was inspired by these monks who might have died via some sleep paralysis episodes, but it's not really confirmed. It just shows these articles and then doesn't really explain them. It doesn't even go in depth on them. And it's just a collection of stories, of crazy stories from these people who've had these sleep paralysis episodes. So it seems to me like the director just took the craziest stories uh, that he could find from these people who have had sleep paralysis and made a movie about it. And that's the thing. It's not that compelling to me because so one-sided. This is a good concept for a documentary, but it's just so one-sided that it just becomes absolutely a chore to sit through after a while because you're sick and tired of hearing from the two two guys, and you're tired of hearing about their experiences and almost nobody else's. And and the recreations themselves are laughably bad at times. And the film also makes a mistake of showing you how they did it in the movie, like how they did the Shadow Men. They showed that. They showed a scene where literally you see an actor take the Shadow Man, because he's wearing a leotard. You see him take his mask off and then put another one on and put on another outfit, and then it pans over to the next room and he gets ready to film another reenactment. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you, Rodney Asher? Why would you do that? It's not even a good artistic decision. It completely destroys the illusion that you're trying to create for the film. This isn't a behind the scenes documentary you're making. You're making a documentary with reenactments that are supposed to be scary, and you're showing me how you did it in the movie. That is an absolute and utter mistake. It's terrible. And then it didn't make, and then the scene afterwards was just completely, I wasn't invested because I knew it was fake. You don't do that. Also, you have and some of the, and I know it's a low budget, but man, some things you just shouldn't have done. Like for example, this one woman, this Asian woman, she has these sleep paralysis episodes, and she's talking about these black blobs that she saw, and it just looks like shit. It's terrible, awful looking CGI. They look like black turds moving towards the screen. It's not scary. It's not creepy. It's just absolutely laughable. And of course, she's also the one that once she said Jesus, everything was over. Everything it ended because it was demons. It wasn't a manifestation of stress in your dreams that you're actually able to see because your conscious mind is awake because you're going through sleep paralysis. Nope, it's demons. It must be demons. That's what it must be. And but if that were whatever works for her, that's cool. I'm glad she found Christ, and her life is better now. That's cool. I have no problem with that. But I mean, sleep paralysis I think is a lot more complicated than just, oh, demons. It's demons. It's demons. That's it. It's demons are doing it. Um, but anyway, and she also had her story, like her stories. Like she's the one she's talking about. Oh, I was dealing with tough times in my life. I was doing drugs and doing all this, and stuff I shouldn't do in college. I'm like, maybe these drugs and stuff that you're taking, and these alcohol and these partying, maybe that's leading to your sleep paralysis too. I don't know. I mean, that could be something. I'm just saying that could be a reason. There was another guy who said, like, my girlfriend said she had it, and then she told me about it, and then I started having it, and then da 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 da. Then and then it talks about some episode where he thought it was a demon that spoke to him on his phone. It was creepy, the reenactment. But then I'm like, that's not sleep paralysis. You were just dreaming. I mean, it's not even consistent. It's like I thought I had sleep paralysis, but I got out of it, and then I fell asleep, and then then he had that episode with the phone, the cell phone, and then I'm like, but that's not sleep paralysis. It's just a dream. That's a completely different situation. Uh, it, and it was interesting. It was like one of those like it was worth one watch type of movies where you watch it because you're like, how crazy is this gonna get? Like, I mean, how crazy are these people? And 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 the reenactments and in some instances were kind of creepy and fun to watch, but the Shadow Men got old really quickly because they overplayed it so much that it lost any of its effectiveness. They showed the Shadow Men way too much to the point where not only did almost every segment become predictable in the way that it was set up, but so did its scares. So it's like showing you the monster that's under your bed and showing it repeatedly over and over again to the point where it just loses anything that made it scary in the first place. And that's what you get with the Shadow Men in this movie. And I just it was just I had way too long. It's an hour and 48 minutes, but it's just nothing but interviews and some clips maybe from some other movies, and that's really about it. There's not really much substance here, and there's not really a lot of weight to what's going on. And I didn't think it was scary. So if it was trying hard to be scary and it didn't work for me because like I said, it showed you too much. It showed things to you too often, which completely ruined, and then it sometimes even showed you how they did it, which was completely moronic. And you have all these most of the film is dominated by these two guys who I swear to God have serious issues and should honestly consult a psychiatrist or take some medicine or something to help them deal with their issues. The other people, they even admitted, some of the other people who had these episodes even admitted they were abused when they were kids. I mean, when that happens, come on, you know that there's something wrong and you know that something's not right. So that's where I'm just like, come on. I mean, this can't all just be demons or, that just strictly just random sleep paralysis. I don't buy that. I really don't. I don't buy it. And so I really don't know what to say about the nightmare except it's it's silly at times when it should be scary. It's not. It's overdoes its scares. It overplays its creepy elements. It's full of shit half the time. It's not even a documentary. That's a lie. It's a pseudo documentary, just like Room 237 was. And while it can be interesting at times, it's fleeting because it's just dull. It's dull and boring, and you have these characters, these people that are interviewed that just they have some crazy stories to tell, and it's kind of interesting to watch the recreations of what they saw in their dreams. But at the same time, sometimes you can't. It's hard to believe because they're saying stuff like, "I saw it. I saw this demon thing, this shadow man with these red eyes and these sharp teeth, and I could just feel his presence over me." Like like Venom, but I couldn't see him. I was trying to move my eye to the I was trying to move my eyes so I could see him, but I couldn't. And I'm like, then how the hell do you know what it looks like? Really, how do you know what it looks like? I understand you're dreaming and while your conscious mind is awake, but how the hell do you know what something looks like if your conscious mind is awake, which means that you're kind of sleeping, but you're not really, but you can at least move your eyes. So I would think that I don't understand how you see something or know what it looks like if you can't see it. I'm just saying. If you're laying on your side, I know I don't see how you can see it, but that's just me personally. I don't know. Maybe it's just imprinted into their psychological subconscious or whatever, and their subconscious mind is awake, so they see it that way. I don't know. It's too bad. It's really too bad about this film. I just wish that it was a lot. It had actually talked about both sides, scientific side, and talk about the skeptics. Have the skeptic side, not just the believer side. That's a really misleading documentary. The best documentaries cover both sides. They don't just cover one side. And shorten it up a little bit. This didn't had no reason to be an hour and 40 some minutes. And let's have more variety in this film other than just interviews with two guys who I swear to God are nuts. But anyway, I don't know what else to say about the film except some of the direction is decent. Some of the cinematography, the lighting is effectively creepy. The score, it's nothing memorable. And some of the images are just they're 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 creepy, but they're not really that scary, or they're just laughable, and it's hard to take this thing seriously. It just kind of at times it looks and sounds and appears like it's just a joke. And even when the director shows you that actors are playing the roles of the Shadow Men, I mean, that just confirms my feelings. And I'm not meant to take this seriously in the first place. But I don't know what else to say about the Nightmare. I've said enough as it is. Um, except if it was a rate out of 5 stars, I'd give the movie a 2. Because, like I said, it's not completely worthless, but it is disappointing considering that it's just one-sided. It's a one-sided documentary. There's no interviews with skeptics. There's that one woman who has like a voice of reason, but she barely has any screen time. And it just seems like an excuse for Rodney Asher to once again get a bunch of bullshit on the screen and at least in this time actually reenact it. And just because they're real people doesn't mean that their stories actually hold a lot of weight, especially if you only go by their stories and you don't talk to other people who experience other type of sleep paralysis episodes that aren't nightmare related, or just they can't move and they just have a hard time sleeping, or just talk to doctors and psychiatrists. No, they're a bunch of the doctors and the psychiatrists are wrong here according to this documentary, and these people, they're the ones that really know what's going on. Like, this felt like some shit you watch on like the Sci-Fi Channel, or so it's like a pseudo documentary that you'd see on the History Channel or something, or it just, if I want to see this kind of thing, I mean, I could watch Unsolved Mysteries, and it's a lot shorter, and they do a segment about it that's like, what, 10 minutes, not an hour and 40 something minutes long. Um, that's too bad. I really hope that some other filmmaker takes this concept of sleep paralysis as a documentary subject and does it justice, and doesn't just try to create some half-assed horror film with low production values and just masquerade it as a documentary, because that's not really what this movie is. It doesn't, you don't learn much, and it doesn't really expand your intellect that much. And you learn about as much about sleep paralysis from this documentary as you would if you read the Wikipedia page. All you see is some crazy visuals and you hear some crazy stories from from people that might be crazy themselves or might have deeper issues than they want to admit on film. But anyway, thank you for watching my review of The Nightmare, and I will see you guys later. See ya.